Hey everybody, this is Chuck Marone. It is December. December means I'm in the kitchen doing some baking. It also means the Christmas cookie inflation index has been updated for another year. If you've not seen the Christmas cookie inflation index, this is a exercise that I do every December to track a basket of ingredients that I use in my annual Christmas cookie baking. Things like flour, sugar, brown sugar, eggs, butter, just stuff that my grandmas used when they were baking. I use when I'm baking the same stuff from the same shelves, from the same store that I get year after year after year. I'm one of these people who has long believed, and this is not a Republican, Democrat, left, right, conservative, liberal type of insight. This is an insight that really would more be appropriately thought of as top down versus bottom up. I have thought for a long, long time that Americans have been gaslit by their government when it comes to inflation. We experience rising prices as an ongoing phenomena. All of us who shop, all of us who consume goods, but it's a hunch, right? Like it's something that we feel inside of us. But the official statistics tell us either for a long period of time, there's no inflation or inflation is really, really low. Or now that we went through a bout of inflation, that inflation has come way, way down. Again, I'm going to say this because people always flip out when I talk about the Christmas cookie inflation index. They think I'm railing on the current president or supporting the current president or however your politics work out. Really, if you go back to, I'm turned 50 this year, if you go back to when I was a kid, there was lots of Democrats and lots of Republicans that both cared about the deficit, cared about inflation, cared about all kinds of economic things that nobody really cares about anymore. There's some fringe people that care about here and there, but for the most part, we've kind of agreed across the aisle that we're going to ignore deficits. We're going to spend a lot. We're going to manipulate the inflation rate. We're going to print a lot of money. And we're going to have inflation. And for the most part, we have said we're going to, and I'm going to say this, and this is not implying anything nefarious, but where we calculate inflation when we come to a fork in the road where we can make a decision, decision A would imply a higher inflation rate, decision B implies a lower inflation rate, we're going to consistently choose B. When we look at core inflation, there are all kinds of adjustments that are made. There's all kinds of substitutions that are made. There's a whole kind of art to go along with this religion of economics. And what the Christmas cookie inflation index does is strip all that away. And it asks the question, as I sit down and bake my cookies every year, right? I just finished the peanut nut clusters. As I bake my cookies every year, how much more does it cost me? I use the same recipes that my grandmothers used. I bake the cookies in the same way. I use the same ingredients, literally from, if not the same exact store, a very similar store in a similar neighborhood. The same exact brand names. It's the same thing. I use year after year after year. And it has occurred to me, why don't I just write down how much these things cost? And then I will have a true index of how this changes over time, thus the Christmas cookie inflation index. This year, core inflation increased by 3.2%. And so what this suggests is that broadly, the inflation that we all experience, prices broadly are up 3.2% over a year ago. The Christmas cookie inflation index, plus 12%. Plus 12%. So my basket of ingredients cost 12% more than the basket did a year ago. Now, am I suggesting that core inflation should be 12%? No, I'm not. Am I suggesting that my index is more accurate than core inflation is? No, I am not suggesting that either. I had someone tell me, well, this is just a silly exercise, Chuck. It's silly if you're trying to represent a broad economic indicator of where the economy is heading. But think about that for a second. The idea that we can simplify thousands and thousands of goods being traded on global markets down to a single number and just say inflation, this is good, or deflation, this is bad, or however we do that, is actually kind of a silly exercise in and of itself. This is why I referred to the top down versus the bottom up. Bottom up, When I or anybody here in this community goes down to the grocery store and buys their ingredients to bake their Christmas cookies, what they're going to experience is that those ingredients cost 12% more. That is a reality that cannot be denied. And the only assertion that I would make about the core inflation rate is for those of you who, like me, have been called wacko and conspiracy theorists and all this for doubting the official inflation rate. The more that the measured reality that I take annually diverges from those official numbers, I think the more credibility it gives to those of us who would question how those numbers are put together. By the way, within the inflation reporting at the federal level, the official food inflation is at 3.3%. And so some of you might be saying, well, yeah, but core inflation includes many things besides food. Yes, it includes many things besides my sugar and my flour and my Christmas baking ingredients. But if we look at the food components of core inflation, food is up 3.3% officially, 12% by the Christmas Cookie Inflation Index. This is a broad trend. If you look at the trend over time, you'll see that consistently the price of my basket of 10 goods costs more than it would if it only increased by the general rate of inflation. And so, one more year of data. Next year we'll come back and take another look. Happy holidays, everyone. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope you get to enjoy some good baking over the next few weeks.